2026 is the year that we are not messing anymore. We are not taking a single minute longer to get to our goals and become the person that we want to become. So I'm going to take you through a step-by-step guide on how you are actually going to make 2026 your best year yet. Physically, mentally, in every single area of your life. The first thing I want to start with is by saying that this is not me giving you a calorie target or telling you how to work out your calories or telling you what workouts you should be doing or how many steps you should be doing, because that is not your issue. Now, obviously, that is related to fat loss, but the steps that I'm going to talk about are literally related to any goal within your life whatsoever. Your issue is not lack of information. You can go online and you can find information about pretty much anything. You can use AI. You can literally use Google. You can use anything to find the information that you need. Lack of information is not the reason that you have not yet got to your goals. So what is? In order to get to your goals, whatever they may be, you have to have self-trust and self-confidence. And now those things are not going to appear overnight. Those things have to be built. But often when people look at a goal, they look at A and they look at B. They look at where they are now and they look at where they want to get to. And what they don't look at is the steps in between. Or maybe they break it down, but they don't look at the steps in terms of, right, how am I going to build confidence? How am I going to build self-trust? How am I going to prove to myself that I am that person who achieves these goals at step B? And that is vital. Like I said, you have access to all the information, but information means nothing if you are unable to apply it because of your lack of self-trust and lack of self-confidence. And that can betray itself in so many different ways. Maybe that is fear of failure. Maybe it is self-sabotage. Maybe it is setting yourself up for failure by maybe overreaching, trying to get to your goals too quickly, maybe trying to change too many things at once, maybe, being stuck in the all or nothing mindset. All of these things could potentially be sabotaging you getting to your goals, which is why we need to break it down into little steps that you are able to, number one, stay consistent with, number two, build self-trust with, build confidence with, and build on. So the first thing that I want you to do is get clear on what you want and who you want to be. Now, this is fundamental because so often I will speak to people and they'll go, I want to lose fat. I want to lose a stone. I want to be a size 10. I want to do X, Y, Z. And I'll say, why? Because I want to lose fat. I want to be, whatever size is surface level. That alone is not going to change anything. You could wake up tomorrow that size, that weight. You are not going to feel the way that you think you're going to feel because you haven't actually put the work in to get there. Because your confidence, self-trust, all of that, it doesn't come from a shape or a size. It comes from the journey to get there, from the work that you put in day out. So what you have to ask yourself is, what do you actually want? What is it that you think fat loss is going to bring you? What is it that you think that a smaller version of you is going to bring? How will your day-to-day life look different? And how is that going to change things for you? What is it that, when you envision this version of you who's achieved all of her goals, what is it that is different about her, and how does that change things for you? Why is that something that you're aspiring to get to? You have to really think deep with this one, because one of the biggest reasons that people will fall off with any goal is because they'll see the end goal. They'll see that one ultimate goal. They'll put methods in place to get to that goal. But what they don't do is break it down enough. What they don't do is also think of all the things that are involved within that goal. Achieving fat loss is not just about calories and nutrition. It's about your stress. It's about your sleep. It's about your changing of your habits, your hydration, your mindset. All of these things matter. So you have to really think, what is it that version of you has, or how does she live her life in a way that you want? And why do you want that? What is that going to change for you? What is it going to allow you to do that you don't currently do? How is it going to change your day-to-day life? How is it going to change your routines? How is it going to change your habits? All of these things, I want you to get super clear on what you want on a deep level. So if you say to yourself, right, but I want to lose fat, or I want you to ask yourself, okay, but why do I want that? What is that going to change for me? And again, go deeper, because it's not just as simple as, I want to wear smaller clothes, or I want my body to be smaller. Maybe it is that you want more confidence to wear the clothes that you love without then looking down at yourself and being like, is this too tight? Should I be wearing this? Maybe it is that you want to be able to go out for food in a restaurant and you want to be able to have a 3-course meal, pick exactly what you want without stressing over the calories, and then go home knowing that you've enjoyed yourself without it then sending you into a spiral that then means that you're going to self-sabotage all evening. Maybe it is the confidence to say yes to social occasions without then spending every waking minute dreading that occasion because you don't know what to wear, you don't know what to eat, you don't know what you're going to drink, you don't know how it's going to throw you off track. Yeah, you really have to think about what it is that you desire. And when you think about what it is that you desire, you can then think of who do you want to be. So that version of you who's achieved all these goals, so that version of you who has that food freedom, she wears the clothes she loves, she smashes her social occasions, she is confident, she has her day-to-day routines on lock, she has her daily habits, she does her steps, she looks after herself, she manages her stress, all of these things. Who is she? And what I mean by that is, how does she talk? How does she walk? How does she act? How does she take action? How does she respond to stress? How do her routines look? How does her day-to-day life look? How does she talk to herself? How does she think about herself? What is herself? What is her identity? How does she trust herself? How does she show up? How does she respond when motivation isn't there? You have to think about all these things. Now, the reason that this is so important is because you need clarity on who you want to be and what you want to do in like every area of your life. Because if you're focused purely on like the scales, let's, for example, say, you're going to be very focused on nutrition, your calorie intake and your calorie output, whether it be through the gym, whether it be through steps, whatever it may be. And the issue with that is that when you only focus on those two things, it doesn't give you much to celebrate. Because, okay, you can hit your calories and you can hit your protein and you can get some good nutrition and you can hit your steps. And of course, all of those things are amazing. But then what you're not thinking about is the way that your body feels, or the way that your body actually moves, or the recovery that you've got, or the way that you're managing your stress, or your day-to-day routines, or the way that you're showing up, or any of those things. So it's really, really important to note like who you're becoming and how that version of you shows up in all areas, not just within like fitness, not just within health or just within career, but actually how she shows up within everything. Because the way that you do one thing is the way that you do everything. Now, the reason that is so important is because next we are going to evaluate where you currently are. So what I want you to do, and you can split this however you want, you can do this however you want. I would recommend you split it into kind of core areas. So whether that be health, fitness, career, relationships, lifestyle, social, mindset, you can split it however you want, do what works best for you. And then what I want you to think of is within these areas, where are you currently at? In terms, let's say, for example, of your mindset, are you quite a positive person? Are you quite outgoing? Are you quite, glass half full? Are you, do you focus on what you can do rather than what you can't? Or are you quite all or nothing? Are you quite black and white? Within fitness, are you currently doing anything towards your fitness? Do you currently have a daily step count? Do you currently not? Do you currently go to the gym? Like, you have to really evaluate where you're at and be really, really honest with yourself. This is not to criticize yourself. This is not to be like, oh my God, you are not doing this, this, this. This is for you purely to be able to look at it and go, right, this is where I'm at. This is where I want to be. And this is how we are going to bridge those gaps. So you need to evaluate exactly where you are and be really honest with that. Then what we're going to do, we are going to look at exactly how we are going to bridge that gap. So you can literally do this again however you want. You can just think about the differences and write them down. You can literally put them next to each other. Again, do whatever you want to do. So if you look at those areas that you've written down of where you want to be and where you're at now, we need to see how do they compare. So say, for example, you are going, right, I'm not currently doing any workouts, but a goal of mine is to get in 3 workouts a week. We know that that is a gap that needs bridging. So we know that, okay, we're going from 0 to 3 workouts. Let's just say, for example, you want to get a morning routine on lock. Currently, you don't do anything in the morning at all. You just get out of bed, you get ready, and you jump straight into work. But what you want to do is you want to take some time for yourself in the morning. You want to get up at 7. You want to, have that time for yourself. And then you want to, make your coffee, you want to romanticize your skincare, and then you want to get stuck into work feeling ready for the day. Or maybe you want to get a morning walk in, whatever it may be. You have to visualize. So just going back as well to what I said about kind of who you want to be, really think about as well, like how her days are run, how her weeks are run, like how her routines look, because that's going to come into play now. So what we then want to do, and again, this is why it's not just relevant for fat loss, but for everything, what we then want to do is go, okay, I can see exactly where the gaps are. I can see exactly where I'm not showing up as my best self, where I'm not showing up as that future version of me, or maybe where I am, or the mindsets that I need to shift, or the habits that I need to change, or the routines that I need to change. Because if you are not acting in alignment with your long-term goals, you are not going to get there. What I also want you to do when you think about this, when you think about where you want to be and when you think about where you are now, we are not going to go, oh yeah, we're just going to jump that all in one. We are going to build it up. But for the purposes of bridging the gap, we want to see exactly kind of how big that gap is and where it is and how it looks mentally, how it looks physically. So we can then go, right, fitness, this is where I am now, this is where I want to be, this is the gap. Mindset, this is where I am now, this is where I want to be, this is the gap. So you have then essentially got a list of changes that you want to make. Now, the biggest thing here is what I want you to think of is, how can I build foundations, build self-confidence, and build self-trust? Now, I'm going to talk about building foundations quite a lot. And what I mean by building foundations is, if you would go and build a house, you are not going to go and build the whole house in one day. You are going to literally build it brick by brick, layer by layer. And that is exactly the same as what we are going to do with your habits and with your routines. Because the biggest mistake that people will make, and this is the reason why they tear down their own self-confidence and they ruin their own self-trust, is they will go, right, I've seen the gaps, I've seen the changes I need to make, let me make them right now. Let me go and make those changes. And what happens? You make all these changes at once. It feels overwhelming. There's no structure to it. There's no routine to it. You've not built anything up. You're jumping in at the deep end. You're reinforcing that all or nothing mindset. As soon as one thing doesn't go to plan, it all crumbles down. You feel like shit. You're back at square one. So the changes that we are going to make, what I want you to do is I want you to look at all of those areas. And I want you to remember, this is literally a marathon, not a sprint. I want you to look at all those areas and I want you to pick 2 to 3 areas. So maybe that is your water intake. Maybe it is your sleep. Maybe it is your steps. Okay. I don't want them to all be like absolutely massive all at once. I want them to be little changes. Okay. I want you to pick 1 to 3 areas and I want you to go, right, okay, where is the gap and how can I start to build on that gap? So like I said, building foundations, because what we want to do is we want to build things up slowly. We want to build things up in a way that is sustainable for you so that you can be consistent. You can do the things that you say you're going to do. And then what's going to happen? Magically, you are going to be building your self-trust every single day because you're doing the things you say you're going to do. You're going to be building your confidence every single day because you're doing the things you say you're going to do. You're also going to be building habits and routines that are going to help you maintain results as well because you are shifting your lifestyle. All whilst shifting your mindset because you're celebrating your wins, you're doing the things you say you're going to do, and there's always something you can focus on even when there's something you can't. So I want you to pick those 2 to 3 areas and I want you to pick one small change that you can make to each. So for example, if it is a goal of yours, currently you're drinking 500 ml of water a day, it is a goal of yours that you want to be drinking 3 litres of water consistently for your skin, for your health, just to feel better so you don't feel so sluggish, so your skin is glowing, all of the above. We are not just going to implement another 2.5 litres of water per day. What we are going to do is we are going to go, right, I'm going to implement 500 millilitres of water extra per day. Steps. You're currently doing, let's say, 5,000 steps. It is a goal of yours that you would like to get in 8 to 10k steps a day. Okay, we're not just going to jump to 8 to 10k. What we're going to do is we're going to go, right, let's get in 6k steps a day. And then, well, let's say the third one, you're doom scrolling at night. You're scrolling up until the time you go to bed and then your sleep quality is affected. So what we then want to do is go, right, I'm going to turn my phone off half an hour before bed. Or put it on do not disturb, do whatever you want to do. So you have got 3 changes there that are all small, okay? All small. You can stay consistent with them because they are small. We'll come to how you do it in a minute, but you can stay consistent with them because they are small. Every single day, you are going to be able to celebrate the fact that you have completed those things. So subconsciously, you are telling your brain that you are now someone who does what they say they're going to do. You're building your trust and your confidence because you are doing the things every single day that you need to do. All whilst they are now becoming a much more natural part of your routine because consistency, repetition, it all makes a difference. Let's say in a week or 2, those changes now feel so much easier because they're only small anyway. They feel so much easier. Now you're like, oh, actually, I just do them quite naturally. It's quite natural for me now to go and get those extra 1,000 steps in. It's quite natural for me now to just put my phone down. Don't get me wrong, some habits are going to take longer than others. But when you then get to that point, what you can then do is go, right, how do I now build on this further? Okay, well, I'm still only 1 litre into my water intake and I want to be on 3. So now I'm going to try and jump another half a litre. Or you can go, okay, I don't currently do any workouts. It's a goal of mine to get to 3 workouts. Why don't I start with 1 class a week? I'm going to book onto a class. I'm going to go to a class a week. Or I'm going to set aside time on a Wednesday evening and I'm going to do a home workout on YouTube. I'm going to block it into my calendar. So again, can you see how you're not then suddenly going, right, I'm going to do all these changes all at once? Because yes, you get the dopamine hit from going, oh yeah, I'm going to make all these changes. But then you knock your confidence and your trust when you don't follow through with all those changes. And it's the same you can literally apply it to any area, not just fitness, but within health, within lifestyle, within everything that you do. And the thing that you always want to remember then is everything that you're doing is with the intention of building confidence and trust, because that confidence and trust is going to literally seep into every single area of your life. Once you start showing up for yourself consistently, you are literally going to become unstoppable, because you're going to know deep down that nothing is ever going to stop you getting to your goals, no matter how long it takes. So it's always thinking, how can I act in alignment and think in alignment with my best self? So say, for example, there's a day and you're like, oh my God, I feel like shit, I can't get my steps in, I'm not very well. Rather than then go, oh, right, I've fallen off now, you can then still go, okay, but I can still drink my water, I can still turn my phone off. So I'm still then hitting 2 out of 3 habits. I'm still doing what I need to do. And again, you are then teaching your brain that it doesn't have to be black and white. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You're teaching your brain to focus on what you can do and celebrate the wins from that, which is always going to make you feel better than focusing on what you can't do. And again, when I say consistency, not perfection, the future version of you, she does focus on consistency, not perfection, because she knows that life is not perfect. She knows that no one hits every single target 100% of the time, but choosing to focus on what you can do is always going to move you further forward a lot quicker than choosing to focus on what you can't do. So you always have to think in alignment with that best future self, with that version of you that you wrote down. How would she show up and how would she respond? And that's another thing. You have to think all of these things are literally building that version of you, because that version of you is not just going to appear from being smaller or from getting a promotion in work or anything like that. She is going to be because you have built her from the ground up, because you have built her mentally, physically, because you've showed up day to day, because you've done the habits, you've done the routines, you've done all the things you need to do. So you have to think, how can I show up as her? How can I act in alignment with her? How can I embody that version of me? Because that is what is going to get you to your goals. So when you're currently like, oh my God, I need to make all these changes, and then it gets to Wednesday and you're like, oh my God, I'm just craving some chocolate, but you're not having some chocolate because you're like, no, I'm on a diet, I can't do it. That is not in alignment with that future version of you, because the future version of you doesn't not eat chocolate. The future version of you doesn't only have chocolate as a treat. The future version of you doesn't cut out foods and demonize foods to then end up binging them on the weekend. The future version of you trusts herself enough to know that she can have that square of chocolate and it doesn't mean anything, because she's not then cutting it out, because she's not then making it mean something about her and then saying that she's not going to eat it for the next 3 weeks. It's not then sending her into a spiral. Do you see what I mean? You have to act in alignment with that future version of you. The same with your career. If you want to be in a different career, if you want to progress within business, if you want to progress within anything, you can't show up as the person you currently are. You have to show up as the person you're becoming. So obviously knowing what action to take is all well and good, but how do we actually make those actions an actual action, an actual physical thing? Get organized. Get organized. Set aside time for you to do the things that you need to do. So what I would personally do is set aside an hour, that is genuinely like an hour, hour and a half on a Sunday, to sit down, go through your week and plan out exactly when you're working, when you're going to do your workouts, when you're going to do your steps, when you're going to do your meal planning, what meal prep you're going to do, all of those things. And don't get me wrong, if that feels overwhelming, again, break it down. Focus on, okay, I'm just going to plan my evening dinners. And then I'm going to maybe plan my lunches. Maybe then I'm going to prep a lunch for the office. Break it down. But what you really want to focus on here is, how can I make life as easy for my future self as possible? So many people will say to me, oh, but I don't want to eat the same things every day, or but I don't want to eat the same meals week on week, and I like mixing up and I like doing this. But unfortunately, for you to get to where you want to be, you're going to have to do things you don't want to do. So you have to pick your battles. If that is you and you don't want to, maybe prep meals, maybe you don't want to eat the same lunches 2 days in a row, maybe you don't want to eat the same dinners, on a Monday, every Monday for 2 weeks, you have to think, okay, but would I rather do that? Or would I rather spend an hour having to cook every evening and making life really stressful for myself because now I've got to find that extra time? Again, like, oh, I don't like online shopping. Okay, well, are you going to find an hour to go and do a shop? You are going to have to do things you don't want to do. So what you have to do is pick your battles. The easiest thing you can do on a Sunday is sit down and literally plan your week. Depending obviously at what stage you're at, maybe that's just going to start with looking at, okay, what days am I going to do a workout on? Maybe that is also going to as you progress, then add in what days you're going to do steps on. Maybe as you progress, that is also then you're going to add some sort of meal plan element into that. Or maybe you're going to look at, what days you're going to meal prep, things like that. But always think, how can you make life as easy for your future self as possible? If it is a goal of yours to get to the gym in the morning, can you lay your clothes out? Can you literally set yourself a reminder on your phone to turn your phone off in the evening? Like, my phone will go into sleep mode, so I will not get any notifications from a certain time. 2 hours before that, it'll go into an evening routine mode, so I will only get certain notifications, and the majority of notifications are blocked. I turn off all social media notifications at 6:30. So you have to think, how can I make life as easy for my future self as possible? How can I plan? What can I prep? How can I get organized with it? And again, break that down, build those foundations with it. If you're a very unorganized person and currently everything's everywhere, don't try and suddenly time block and meal plan and meal prep and all of these things, because again, that's going to feel overwhelming. But what you can do is go, okay, what can I start off with? Okay, can I literally just start off with planning my week on a Sunday? Planning what my week looks like? Can I then maybe start, actually time blocking time into my calendar to do my workouts? Can I then maybe start actually allocating time to meal plan or meal prep? So always think, how can you get organized? And the biggest thing with this, make things a non-negotiable. Do not give yourself the option to not do it. So many people do not follow through with the things that they need to do because they don't want to do it. Or because they're like, I'm not motivated. No one is motivated all the time. No one. I'm telling you now, if you're waiting for motivation, you're never going to get to your goals. Motivation is a feeling and nothing else. It physically does not stop you doing anything. Seeing progress, making change, whatever area that may be, it's going to get boring. You are going to rinse and repeat. You're going to do the same things over and over and over, but that is what gets results in any aspect of life. Set yourself reminders, set yourself alarms, time block, use your calendars, use Google Calendar, write things down, make lists, keep sticky notes everywhere. Do whatever you need to do to make sure that you follow through with what you say you're going to do. If it is a goal of yours to drink more water, keep a water bottle at your desk. If it's a goal of yours to get more steps in, look at literally where you can put that into your day. Yeah? Where can you physically make time for that during your day? Keep going. Patience is so key here. You are not just talking about losing fat or just getting a size smaller or getting to the gym or being a gym girl or anything like that. You are literally talking about changing your whole life. You are talking about building the confidence and trust that is going to change every single aspect of your life. You are talking about becoming the freest, the best version of yourself. That is going to take time. It's going to take patience. But what you have to think of is, would I rather be consistent for a year and get to where I want to be, or would I rather try and push hard for like 2 months and then end up back at square one every single 2 months because I'm repeating the same cycle? To make a change, you have to make a change. Okay, so you have your goals, where you want to be, who you want to be. You have where you are now, you have those gaps, you have the habits that are going to build routines to bridge those gaps. You know how to put those things into action. You know that you need to be patient and you need to just keep going. No matter how many times one thing doesn't go to plan, you need to focus on what is going to plan, what you can do. No matter how many times things come along and things crop up, you have to focus on what you can do. No matter how many times you feel like it's not working quick enough, you have to remind yourself that patience is key. No matter how many times something doesn't go to plan, you have to choose to focus on what is going to plan. No matter how many times things fall off track, you have to choose to focus on what is keeping you on track. You have to embody the version of you that you're trying to create, because your current actions and your current mindset is creating your current reality. If you want to change that, you have to show up as that version of you. And I know that can sound really delulu, but it is honestly so true. Like, there is a reason that manifesting, journaling, visualization is so huge. Okay, excuse the angle change and the not great lighting, but my camera's about to die. But I just want to wrap this up. When I talk about like thinking in alignment with your best self, you don't have to sit there and be like, you don't have to fake it till you make it and be like, oh my God, yeah, I'm so amazing and I'm fantastic and I'm the best version of myself and blah, blah, blah. But you also don't have to be negative to yourself. There is a middle ground. You can be neutral. You can say, I am learning to become XYZ. I am becoming XYZ. And you have to always think, if someone else has done it, that means it is possible. Literally, the possibilities for you are endless. Like, I mean this in the best possible way. Like, the possibilities for you are endless. And as soon as you start to build that confidence and you build that trust, like I said, through those day-to-day little changes, through those things that you can stay consistent with, you are going to realize that. You are literally going to become unstoppable. Build those foundations, build on them, be patient, always think in alignment with your long-term goals and that version of you, and go and smash your goals. Hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions at all, just let me know. But please, please, please remember that building trust and confidence is fundamental to you seeing success and feeling like the best version of yourself in any single area of your life. And that starts with small, consistent changes that you can keep up with, because that is where you are proving to yourself every single day that you do the things that you say you're going to do. And that is the shift that builds momentum and keeps you going. That is the shift that helps you focus on the positives, not the negatives. That is the shift that keeps you disciplined. That is the shift that builds consistency. Like, those are the shifts that are literally going to change your life. It's not about who can do the most or who can change the most in as little time as possible, but it's about who can stay consistent with those changes long term. And it's not just about getting the result either. It is about building a lifestyle, a mindset, and a version of you that also maintains those results effortlessly, because that is the you that you have built. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments.